nothing showed that there was something wrong with me. Even the day that I was told I'm suffering from end-stage kidney disease, I walked to the hospital, you know, from the Kolebo entrance to the medical ward. It's quite a distance.
Yeah.
But I walked from the entrance
all by yourself.
Yes, all by myself. And I was, from there, I was going back to school. So initially I was surprised.
Yeah.
That I didn't believe it.
Okay.
That no,
you were in denial.
that's not so. Yes, I was in the denial stage until the doctor told me to sit and wait for a nurse to come for me to the ward. I was like, okay, fine. I thought the nurse was just coming and say, oh, Philip, can we go? But when the nurse came, she came with a wheelchair. And I was like, is this how pathetic my situation has become? And I was told the nurse that, oh, I can't walk. She said, no, my condition is such that she can't guarantee what will happen next if I should walk. And that was the turning point for me. Everything became gloomy. Everything became dark. It was just tears that was flowing. And that was when I had to actualize the whole situation.
In the last year or so, Ghanaweb has made health issues one of its major talking points. In this interview, we'll catch up with one of our guests from 2023, Philip Atawura, who is a lecturer at UNIMAC, formerly Ghana Institute of Journalism. We'll catch up on his story because last year when we spoke to him, he was going through the process of dealing with kidney disease. Today, he's been able to successfully go through the transplant and is back. He's well and hearty. We want to catch up on his story. My name is Etiatisu. Welcome to this episode of The Lowdown here on Ghanaweb TV. Philip, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Very good.
The last time we had a conversation with you, you were preparing to go to India. Is that the case?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we want to catch up on the story from there. Before you left, went to India, all the stories from there. First of all, when did you leave Ghana actually for that process?
I left Ghana on the dawn of 25th August 2023.
Okay.
Yes, through Ethiopia and then to India finally.
Okay.
14-hour journey, you know.
14-hour journey?
Yes.
At the time, you're still not very well. How was that journey for you, the flight to India?
Yes, it was great because I prepared towards it. I made sure I'd done my dialysis the day before, so that I wouldn't have to accumulate so much water on my legs.
Okay.
So I actually did all the medical tests that were necessary before I would embark on that journey.
Okay.
Yes. So I was declared fit actually before we left.
All right. Then you touched down in India.
Yes, the following day, that should be 26th of August. Yeah.
Okay. And so now, how was it like? Did you just get right into the medical procedure?
No. I took about 3 weeks before. So I was doing dialysis upon arrival.
Okay.
But I had my first consultation after 3 weeks. Okay. So it was after 3 weeks that the procedure actually started.
Okay, so 3 weeks you were just in the country, relaxed until you actually went for the first medical procedure?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was the very day I got there, it was almost 12 a.m.
Okay.
So by the time we got to the hotel, it was about 1:30 because you know, India is a very big country. So from the airport to my hotel, it was about 1 hour 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yes. So the next day, I had to go and then register with the hospital and then start with my dialysis.
Okay.
So I also had to wait for 3 weeks, partly because the donor joined me after 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we needed to consult together.
Okay.
So that's why I started a consultation after my 3rd week.
Right. So that means that the donor was a donor from here locally. Where was the person from?
Yes, I sourced the donor from here.
Okay.
And then he joined me after 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay. But first of all, when you were traveling, did you go alone?
No. I went with my fiancée.
Okay.
And then the donor joined.
Okay.
But when we got there, we actually realized that I should have traveled with a family member, and that the donor too should have come with either the wife or the mother or something else.
And did that in any way?
Yes, it is. That's in a way
It obstructed it. Oh, okay. So what? They eventually had to come?
No, we had to get affidavits.
Okay.
From here. That basically them agreeing or giving their consent to the surgery to take place.
But how was it that detail was missed out?
Yes, you know, the issue is that most of the time the hospitals fail to tell you that you meet a legal committee.
Okay.
Yes, so they are in charge of the surgery, but permission is granted by the state. And the state's representative is a legal committee. So it's at that point that they request for the presence of these people, simply because they don't want you to engage in organ harvesting or non-related donation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now, 2 weeks after the donor joins you, you get around all these hurdles, the fact that you needed to have had people there, you get the affidavit done and all that.
Yes.
Walk us through the entire process. How long were you there? Did you experience any challenges at all, apart from this one you've mentioned?
Well, we face a lot of challenges, but also related to just this one issue.
Okay.
My doctors here were also not aware about the fact that India does not support non-related donor. When I say non-related donor, what I mean is that a donor who is not part of your family, blood.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
that's a thing in India. You need to have a relative.
Exactly. To do the donation.
And this was lost on your doctors as well?
Yes. Here. Yes. So it was when we got to, we had spent a month in running the preliminary tests for the surgery. And then after the results came, we were asked to go and do a DNA test. So I inquired why they needed the DNA test. And that's where we got to know that if the person's DNA does not match with mine, there's no way they were going to go ahead with the surgery.
Because there are the issues of organ harvesting.
Okay. Yes. And then some people also give their organs for monetary values.
Okay.
So that's one major thing actually made us to stop the process, think of a way out before, engaging with the hospitals again.
This was all outside the plan, the original plan?
It was.
What was the initial plan? How long did you anticipate you were going to be in?
Yes, they gave us 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so we prepared for the maximum, which was 3 months.
3 months?
Yes.
Okay.
But because of these issues, we spent about 8 months at the end of the day. Yes.
That means that the process started in August of 2023?
Yes.
Well into this year, 2024?
Yes.
April?
Yes.
So now you pause the process, get back to the drawing board.
Yes.
How did you get around all of that? Now, the person who was going to give you his organ was not your relative.
Yes.
How did you get around all of that?
It's more like a secret,
Okay.
because there are a lot of people involved. There are lawyers involved. There are agents involved, because at the end of the day, we had to push monies to some courtesans
Okay.
before we had it done. And that also meant that we changed about 4 hospitals.
Right there in
all.
India.
Yes, in all. So a lot went into it, and it was all because of the ill information about this whole legal committee thing.
Did this in no way disturb you? Were you not worried that this would not have happened eventually? What were the things that were going through your mind all of this time that everything you had anticipated turned out otherwise?
Yes. I was greatly affected psychologically. It got to a time that I was even thinking that maybe it's not God's will for me to have this done.
So the spiritual thing came in
Yes,
there?
it also came in there because, you know, you keep thinking about a lot of possibilities, that what could be the issue? Why is this happening now? Somewhere in December, when we had tried the second time and failed, we decided to come back to Ghana and then maybe have it done here. But the advice we had strongly was that no, we should stay and ensure that whatever thing that we have to do to get it done, we do it. Because this is coming from a source related to the Ghana embassy in India. They didn't trust the process being done in Ghana. And I also had a friend who had come here to do it at one of the newly, constructed government hospitals. I don't want to mention
that's
the
fine.
name. Yes, but at the end of the day, when he was done, they got some tests wrong, which nearly, collapsed the new kidney until he traveled back to Australia. That's when they detected it and quickly had to rework on him. So the fear of not having a successful transplant in Ghana was very high. Thirdly, because we also came across one of the doctors who performed the Kolebu surgeries. Before I left, Kolebu had done some transplants. Yes. So the doctor who did that is also an Indian, and we met him, fortunately. And he told us about one of the patients who had an infection immediately after that because of Kolebu's environment not clean for such, surgeries. So all of these things gave us a reason to keep pushing. And moreover, we also said we are here for this. And I was thinking of what the sponsors will be thinking of, that you've wasted the resources, the funds that they gave to you, and I didn't want that to happen. So I had to keep on believing that definitely I'll get it done, while I also had to pull the strings alongside to ensure that I had it done.
Was your fiancée around this whole time?
Yes.
She didn't return?
No. None of us returned.
So even the donor?
No.
So the donor left everything he was doing just to...
Yes. And I think he is God sent.
Wow. You mean the 8 months?
Yes, true.
He left his family, he left his job.
His family, his job. He left everything.
You had some angels in your way, because for someone to have left everything for this long.
It's unbelievable. And anywhere I go, I always tell people that my donor was actually godsend, because under no normal circumstances will someone, you know, leave their business and come and be with you for that long.
Now, you had sponsors, you had people who were praying with you and everything. You mentioned how at a point you had your own doubts, you had your own fears, even disappointing people who had invested into this. Were there other things that made you even more scared than just the process not going as it should have been? I'm talking about things like stories, experiences, and things like that. Did you experience any of such things?
Yes. Personally, because of the prolonged duration, I was admitted on 2 occasions. The first one was because I was bleeding through my urine and then fecal deposits. So, and it's continued for about more than 3 weeks. You know, urinating blood is common with kidney patients, but this time the color was so deep, and then it also went beyond. Normally 2-3 days you should be okay, but this time for about 3 weeks. So I had to be admitted for 2 nights, and then discharged later on at an extra cost, of course, of $2,000.
Wow.
And then the main thing, one day I went for dialysis, and about 30 minutes to the end of the procedure, the lights were not, I wasn't seeing the lights as I should see them. I mean the fluorescent bulbs, because the color had changed from white that we all know to more of multicolored.
That was you?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I asked the donor at the time, the donor, my fiancé, and a couple who had also joined us from Ghana.
Okay.
They all came around at the time. So I asked them whether they also see the changes in the light, and none of them said they see any changes. So after that, I began to feel dizzy, and I told them to take me off the machine. So they took me off. I went to check my weight and everything. But when we got down there and got into the cab, I was still feeling dizzy so much that I told them I don't want to go home because I don't know what the outcome will be. So they should return me. But before they even got to the emergency side, I had already gone off.
Okay.
Yes. So all I could hear voices, but I couldn't see the people. The whole place was dark for me. So according to those around, they had to run some tests, do some MRIs, because part of my body was not responding to stimulus. And because of that, I had to, they took me to ICU. The reason being that my BP had gone to about 270, and it's didn't want to drop. So they were anticipating it might have an effect on my brain. Yeah, so they did a whole lot of things. But I recovered, or I began to see around 2 a.m.
That was hours after?
Yes. And then that was when I realized I was at the ICU. And I mean, the kind of things, or the kind of patients at the ICU, the fact that people next to you are dying and all of that really scared me. Yeah, and I didn't recover from that, condition and the sights that I saw in that ICU until maybe just about 2 months ago. Yeah, I feared going to bed. I feared closing my eyes because I thought if I do, I may not, survive anymore.
We'll continue this shortly, and I would ask you about a few of the myths and some of the superstitions, stories we've heard around people who've had transplants before, and then also we'll get back to that conversation about how you used to fear even going to sleep. Because my guest is Philip Atawura. He's a lecturer at UNIMAC. We're talking about his experience going through a kidney transplant. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back from the break. My guest is still Philip Atawura. We're talking to him about the experiences going through a kidney transplant. Philip, you feared going to sleep.
Yeah.
And only about 2 months ago that you're able to recover from this.
Yeah.
Now, that experience was a scary one. You went into ICU for a while.
Yeah.
Then you were let go after you were okay.
Yes.
What continued? What was this? What happened after that?
So after that, when I was discharged, I think 2 days afterwards, we had to continue with the process.
Okay.
But I had to consult with a psychologist who placed me on a medication to help with the fear that I was having.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also became claustrophobic after that event. So any enclosed, space brought a lot of fear to me. Yes. That's because when I was placed in the MRI machine, I could hear the beeping of the machine and everything, but as I said, everything was still dark to me, and I felt there was this, force or pressure trying to, press me against the bed of the MRI. So because of that, I feared going into smaller rooms, and then, rooms that don't have enough light. Yes. But after the medications and then some consultations here and there, I became okay. Yeah, I became okay.
You're talking about a lot of processes, a lot of procedures, a lot of changes, a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
This involved a lot of money.
Yes.
We're not talking about Ghana. You are in a foreign land. You had sponsors who were taking care of all of these.
Yes.
Where was all the support coming from?
Well, we generated about was it $62,000?
Okay.
Before I left.
Was that from the GoFundMe?
GoFundMe didn't fetch much. GoFundMe fetched at $1,780.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
so where was the rest of the money from?
Yes, it came from GIJ.
Okay.
UTAG, local UTAG. It came from administration as well. And then some also came from the student body, the various year groups and then classes. Those present students. Yes. And then Azuri also played a major role. Okay. So we had some funds coming from other institutions and well-to-do individuals. Yes. So that's where majority of the funds came, and then my church also did a lot. Yeah. I think I received about 20% of the funds from my church.
That's really good.
Yes.
That is a strong community of support people.
Yes.
All right. Now, Philip, let's take the conversation a little further to the point where you actually got through to the medical procedure, had the transplant done. Tell me quickly everything that went through, and then all the other experiences there.
Yeah. So finally, when we were given the green light from the government legal committee, we went to the hospital on Saturday about 5 p.m. for admission towards the surgery. We were there Sunday, just having fun, myself, the donor, and my fiancée.
What was your fiancée telling you around that time?
Oh, around that time, in fact, the fear of having the surgery was not there, because already I've been through a lot and I was even tired. So I really was looking forward to it. And we're looking forward to it. So the Sunday, the surgery happened on a Tuesday.
Okay.
Yes. So Sunday, we were free. We took our meals. Monday, we took our last meals around 2 p.m. because we are not supposed to have food in you for about 24 hours before the surgery. Yes. Okay. So that Monday, a lot actually happened. The first thing was to go and have a neckline fixed here for administration of medications. And then that was around 2 p.m. At about 7 p.m., I went for my last dialysis session, which ended about 11 midnight.
So you still do dialysis when you are not eating?
Yes. Yes. And all the time I was still having my dialysis. All these 7 months that I was there, I was still having my dialysis until the surgery.
Was it cheaper there, by the way?
No.
More expensive?
Yes. Expensive because I was treated as an international patient.
Okay.
But for the locals over there, it's very cheap, less than 200 cedis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, compared to what Ghanaians we pay here. That Kolebu, I think, is about 460 or so. Yes, but I was doing mine at the private hospital, so I was paying 860 per session.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So back to that Monday evening.
Yes. So I did my last dialysis at about 12 midnight.
Okay.
The nurses came again, and then they had to shave us. The whole of your body to the knee level. And then we had to bath with antiseptic soaps. Like, everything was now towards making sure you are clean without any bacteria. So they washed us, cleaned us, gave us the cloth that we're supposed to put on. And then I was in the bed for just 1 hour. They came for me at about 2 a.m. to the ward before the surgery. Yeah. So by 7 a.m., they had taken the donor in to take what they call the graft kidney. So they took the donor's kidney. By 8:30, they came for me to the OR.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the donor's procedure happened first?
Yes. That took about an hour and some minutes.
Okay.
Yes. And they came for me. I got into the OR at 8:35. Yes. But in the OR, they moved me from the bed onto the bench, what I'll call. So after that, I think they only asked me to, I stretched my arms like this because the bench has something like this that you place your arms on. Yeah. And they were having a conversation with me. Then I think the anesthetic brought the gas mask. I initially thought it was oxygen mask. That's also because he didn't tell me what it was. Yeah. So the last thing I remember, I don't know. I never met him to ask afterwards. Yes. So all I remember was the marks getting closer to my face,
and that's all.
That was it. I recovered at about 4:30 p.m. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was an 8-hour thing. I was told the procedure itself took about 4.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the rest of the hours you're still out until later?
Yes.
When you came around, What are the first things that you were thinking around?
Well, I asked questions.
Yes.
The first time the first question I asked was time.
Okay.
What was the time? They told me. The next thing was, where's my fiancé? And they told me she's around. And I asked about the donor, and they said he's fine. And then I went back to bed. I woke up again, and it was the night shift. The night shift guys had come in.
Okay.
So I only had to wait for the next day. So during the next day, I asked when I was going to see my fiancée, because at least she should know I'm okay, and I also wanted to know how far the donor is also doing. How well he's doing. But they didn't allow me, because they said they don't want any infection from outside. Yes, so I was in isolation for, I think, almost 6 days.
Okay.
Yes, I left isolation at about 4 p.m. on the 6th day. Yeah.
So that's from Tuesday all through to the following, is it Sunday, Monday?
Yes, I think somewhere Sunday.
6 days, okay.
Yeah.
Now the process is done. You eventually leave isolation.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Isolation is not easy. Isolation is not easy because it's, as I told you, the claustrophobia was still there, and it was a smaller room, and the lights were on throughout. There are no windows to the room. In fact, it's a room in a room, kind of, simply because they want to ensure that you don't have an infection, because the immune system has been stepped down so that my body doesn't fight the new kidney. So what it meant was that I was at my most vulnerable point, so any infection could be fatal. So isolation, it's not really a nice experience, coupled with the fact that you have to be in the same position for all these days. I only got to get up on the 3rd day, and I'm not somebody who is used to, being in bed. So the first 3 days were very terrible because of the back aches. The back aches, and well, I didn't feel like eating because there was enough IVs that were pumped into me. But I think after the 4th day, they introduced me to liquid food.
Okay.
Yes, before I started solid after the 6th day.
8 months, long journey, many stories. You eventually are out of there. You eventually came back to Ghana in what, April?
Yes, I was in Ghana on 24th of April.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by this time, everything was okay. You had started experiencing different changes in your body and all of that.
Yes. So I think when I was discharged, I still had the how do they call it? The catheter, the drainage.
Okay.
With me, because it takes about 21 days for the water and other stuff to drain, the blood and other stuff to drain. And so I had to wait for that to finish draining. So they removed the drainage, and then also removed, I've even forgotten the name, but there was this tube which was also fixed through to the bladder so that the way doesn't block, because I wasn't urinating like through myself. I was connected to a tube for the urine as well. So I had to get that one too removed. So when we did all of that, we were left with just a week to return to Ghana. So quickly I had to order for the medications. I ordered for 6 months medications at the cost of almost $1,700. Yeah. So after I they delivered the medication. I think just a day after we came back to Ghana. Yes.
All right. And we're all happy that at least you're much better now. And I see that lately you've been doing some educative pieces on YouTube. You are sharing your stories.
Yes,
just quickly, why are you doing that?
I'm doing that because, you know, people don't know about my case. When I say my case, I mean the polycystic kidney. Until I was involved with it, I didn't know that you could have a kidney failure as a result of hereditary factors. Because most of the time we are looking at what are you eating, what are you drinking, are you smoking, and all of that. So we often look at external factors.
Okay.
But little do people know that
There could be
other you know, factors like hereditary.
Okay.
So that is why I am doing that.
Okay.
And also because I don't want people to find themselves in my situation. I would say that God has been good to me. I had a support system. Even with that, things are not easy because at the end of the day, I spent close to $100,000 in India due to the, you know, prolonged stay, and then the fact that I needed to, you know, pay my way out. I wonder how many people will get
be able to do that
money.
So right now, are you surviving on one kidney or two?
One.
Just one?
Yes, that's the graft. Yes.
Okay.
My last test was, I think, a week and some days ago.
Okay.
The performance is now at 83.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So at the time of the surgery, it was about 40 something. So it's now 83, means that it's picking up.
It's picking up?
Yes.
Okay. Philip, like I mentioned, well, happy that you are doing much better now. And thank you for sharing your story with us. We know there are lots more people out there. And as you've said, because you're sharing your story, you're hoping that people can also learn from that and ensure that they don't get into the similar situation that you are in. So thank you. We wish you even better recovery.
Thank you.
Thank you too for speaking to us. So Philip has been our guest. Philip Atawura. He's with Unimac GIJ, and he's a lecturer here. We've just brought you the concluding part, as I will call it, on his story, because last year we brought you the first part before he emplaned to India and is back. Thank you for joining us. My name is Echi Atisu. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Look for Ghanaweb TV, subscribe, like, and click on the notification button so that you're notified the next time we have a video up. Until another time, be kind to one another.